Dropping the dice isn't the same as... what?
Hello and welcome to session 31 of my Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire Lorethrough. I know that we finished, quote-unquote, the game last time, but that was only an ending. I didn't do any of the DLCs, so as I said, I still want to continue and go through the DLCs, and I was just going to set myself up down by the, I think it's called the Isle of the Unseen or something like that, and start the episode there. But on my way down, well, first of all, as soon as I started the game up, they were doing a shanty, so I thought that might be distracting while I was speaking. So I was just going to sail down there and start, and then I got something that said, I wish I could remember exactly what it said. It said something about an unusual sound in the water. So I don't know if this is going to be a new encounter or not, but it didn't sound familiar to me. It wasn't like the normal playing a game or throwing some gold to Andra or whatever. This seemed a little bit different. So, I like I said, I don't know if it's going to be different, but I just wanted to start here, which is why you see the book open at the beginning of this rather than being out on the seas or on a map somewhere. Before we get started, though, as usual, I do want to read from the Saints and Relics section of the Pillars of Eternity 2 guidebook. We are going to read today about Saint Grotesque and the Captain. Among the stranger and more obscure folk tales out of the Eastern Reach lurks Back Alley Midden, an ooze possessing some echo of intelligent awareness. And then this is in parentheses here, the Filth Garden of Defiance Bay, Almanac of the Eastern Reach, 2823 AI. I did read that story in the Almanac for the first game. I don't remember if I brought it up. I think maybe I did. But it was like a sentient ooze that lived in a back alley somewhere that wasn't immediately hostile. I can't remember all of it. Maybe it'll go into the story a little bit more here. According to the tales, this ooze acted as a guardian to an Adiran courtesan and aided her escape into a new life. As travelers flooded into the Deadfire, they brought their folktales in tow, and the apocryphal Back Alley Midden grew a strange new appendage on the frontier of progress and exploration. Witness accounts tell that a ship full of Dawnstars and other religious pilgrims came under attack by a sea monster of legendary size. Barely able to hold their own in battle, the doom of the pilgrims seemed nigh, at least until a strange discolored vessel crested the horizon bearing an overpowering stench. Though the outline of its hull resembled a Valian warship, this one possessed no sails and mast. Instead, it propelled itself through the water with the aid of 4 massive fins beneath the waves. Back Alley Midden had grown significant in size, largely from consuming flotsam and other discarded scrap, and achieved enough density to hold its shape in the approximation of a seafaring vessel. So the ship was not a ship, it was Back Alley Midden, the sentient ooze. Splintered wood, bones, coral, garbage, and cannonballs all decorated its black membrane, giving off a smell comparable to a garbage heap left in the sun. At the makeshift helm of this impossible ship stood the former courtesan, garbed in the trappings of a weathered captain. Back Alley wasted no time in dragging the sea monster away from the pilgrim ship and forced it down a cavernous maw that had opened just beneath its prow. The captain of the creature ship introduced herself and made an agreeable offer that her ship, the Grotesque, would keep the pilgrims afloat as far as Port Mage, a service which the pilgrims gratefully accepted. The Grotesque latched itself to the pilgrim ship and towed it out to fair waters, detaching once they reached the shallows of the Great Reef. The pilgrims landed on Port Mage with many tales in their unlikely salvation. With no evidence to back up their account, the colonial governor attributed their shared madness to food spoilage and the rigors of a long journey. After finding an escort to their destination, the story of the Grotesque spread among the devout. None could agree which of the gods had claim over the aquatic ooze and its captain, so the sainthood of the Grotesque is considered an oddity, existing beyond any divine portfolio. Stories of the ship and its solitary crew member Rescuing others in dangerous waters are routinely discounted as hallucinations, though many regard the living vessel as a source of aid for those in dire need. So it seems like the captain there is probably the courtesan that Back Alley Midden helped to find a new life. And interestingly, this is the second story of Back Alley Midden. The first one, like I said, in the almanac for the first game. It's the second story where it seems like it's a fable that is shared, but not often believed as true. There's not a wide enough account of Back Alley Midden from enough people so that it's actually considered truth and more of like a myth. But considering that there are stories of it popping up in several different places, I wonder if there is some truth to that actually. Okay, so this is the beginning of this scripted interaction here, where we heard a strange sound in the sea. A distant roar reaches you from across the water, raising the hair on the back of your neck. While Tia gapes, "God's alive! Have yourself a look at that!" Squinting slightly towards the horizon, handsome Alayam smirks. Badal thrusts the finger into the air. "It's a goddamn dragon!" A massive winged reptile sweeps over Aston Mean, throwing the deck into shadow and setting the sails to billow and snap. "Look alive or look dead, lads and lasses," Naya barks. "Furl the sails, ready the powder for wetting." The dragon banks in the distance, putting a line across the horizon, and you can just make out the figure of a rider upon its back. Yeah, belay that order. We'll find out what they want before we start scrambling to our defenses. Your crew scrambles across the deck as the beast's approach slows. Oh, is this Llengrath? It looks like Llengrath. The dragon stops above Aston Mean, the wind from its wings buffeting you as its rider peers down imperiously. She dismounts, slipping from the dragon's back and into thin air.
Watcher of Cadnua, if I might have a moment of your time.
Yeah, it is Llengrath. I'm glad I paused it for this. Llengrath we met in the DLC of the last game. We could see the dragon flapping its wings, the shadow of it. I wonder if... I can't zoom out any. We met her at the very end of the DLC. She had 2 bog dragons with her, so I wonder if this is a bog dragon that's flying above us here. And we found out that the archmage Llengrath was more of a soul that had been passed between bodies. So unlike many souls that forget their life, or even awakened souls like Aloths, where they kind of share a body, and even though that soul still has some awareness of its previous life, it's not front and center. Llengrath remembers everything, more like Theos 6 Arcanan, the antagonist of the first game. And Llengrath's soul is Llengrath is basically the name of the soul, not the particular body that the soul happens to inhabit at the time. You recognize the striking figure before you as the archmage Llengrath. Good to see you again. Her bright eyes narrow. She leans forward, examining you more closely than she had before.
You've passed into the realm of death and returned since we last spoke. Or so I've heard. Intriguing. I seek a truant member of the Circle of Archmagi, Amira. She sent rather cryptic word that she'd found something of cataclysmic potential in the Black Isles, something that could aid you in the fight against Eothas. You've aided the Circle of Archmagi once before. We've found ourselves wondering if you might do so again.
Yeah, I don't recognize this Maura person. Wait, who's Maura?
A Huana wizard, and a member of the Circle of Archmagi.
Llengrath gives you a pained expression. I don't remember any spells that have been named after Maura. I'm not saying there aren't any. but I don't know of any. And often these archmages have spells named after them, like Minoleta's Missiles, Kalikos Freezing Hand, I think. Those kinds of things.
She specializes in magic involving tentacles. It's a niche field.
Grimaces. Okay. Why doesn't the Circle of Archmagi ever solve these world-threatening crises?
Perhaps we solve more than you think. Perhaps we simply don't advertise to the common kith how often Aora comes to the brink of destruction.
If I can find the time, I'll look into it.
Don't take your time deciding.
Llengrath frowns. Her gaze turns to the horizon.
Maura's drive is frightening, foolhardy, and her love of the Deadfire uncompromising. If she's found some method of stopping Aothas, we must make sure she doesn't destroy Aora in an attempt to save her archipelago. I will await you in the Black Isles, a volcanic chain in the southeastern sea, due south of Tikawara. Don't tarry over long, Watcher.
As Llengrath steps from the railing, her dragon sweeps beneath her, catching her up. The great reptile's wings dig into the air, and it rapidly recedes toward the horizon, Llengrath seated steadily on its back. Smiling silently, Handsome Eliam watches the dragon vanish into the distance. Beta looks to you. Ready to chart a course when you are, Captain. Glad I paused it for that and started there. And also, that's quite convenient. That's actually where we were headed. I think, anyway. Yeah. I think it said Southeastern Sea. Yeah, and I was pretty sure that this Hall of the Unseen was the place for the Forgotten Sanctum DLC, and it seems like I was right. We'll have to see about that. But. Close. Hoping there would be a resupply there. With me. And these tentacles. Poultry. Pork. What does this all mean? More pork. Poultry. It's all different kinds of meat. Interesting. Land here is shattered and barren, eerily quiet, with jagged hillocks plunging abruptly into the calm, clear seas. No birds fly above, and you've not spotted the first boar, rat, or lizard. By comparison, the camp ahead positively bustles. Horses are tied off to stakes, a robed figure, a cowl pulled over its head, sits upon a crate, and the scent of a hearty stew wafts from the pot hanging over the small campfire. Thoughts? Ask Maya. Stew smells good. Almost too good. I'm thinking it's a trap. Squinting, Maya thumbs her chin and nods slowly. I'm gonna approach the camp. As you advance, the flaps of two of the closer tents open, disgorging a lithe wood elf in a Diran finery, a bulky Almawa with cerulean skin, and one of the savannah folk, who levels a large crossbow at your heart. Not another step, stranger, he says. The elf smiles warmly to you, rather mixing the message. The robed figure within the camp makes no movement at all. We're not here to cause trouble. I only have one. Diplomacy? I'm still gonna say that. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yamawa chuckles. Funny that. Looks to me like you're nothing but. Who are you? The Adiran, still smiling, cants her head slightly to the right. Who is anyone? Her words ring melodically, almost harmonizing with themselves. Who are you? I am Biarter, captain of Vastin, formerly the Watcher of Cadnua. The island Amawa's lips curl into an expression somewhere between a grimace and a grin. And many things besides, no doubt. We'll be going then. They watch you go. When you next glance back, you see no tents, no plume of smoke, and no robed figure. No trace at all that a camp was ever there. It's interesting. Shark meat. Reptilian eye. More reptilian eyes. Here, we are at the Hall of the Unseen. After an arduous journey, you finally reach the center of the volcanic devastation. Before you is a broad-faced stone building rugged with age. The Eye of Wall, solitary and all-seeing, is emblazoned above the door. You approach the door, though clearly made only of stone. You feel the burn of the eye's regard between your eyes. The door swings open without a sound and reveals a dark, narrow staircase winding down into the earth. I've discovered a trap already.
Find Ishi.
I don't know where it is.
Anyone bring a spool of fishing line?
This is the Hall of the Unseen. See the Eye of Wall here. All Eyes of Wall. Fortunes of palm slats. That was trapped. Roll of Minnaletta's concussive missiles and pyrite. Like a little maze they got going here. Was that the trap that I found at the very beginning? Oh wait. Abandoned dog is up there. Abandoned. Lyle. Join us. Gives us +1 resolve. Get a closer look at this. Or a more complete look at this. Not exactly a maze, because there's only one path through it, but it is a long and winding path to get a short distance.
I'll just say another prayer that we can find our way back out.
Moon and the Prybar.
You came as requested. Excellent. I believe the entrance is... here we are. A moment, if you would.
So that was Llengrath. I wonder how far we would have been able to get here if we didn't actually meet with her first. I wonder if maybe we wouldn't be able to get to the staircase that she just went down. The Eye of Wall, a one-handed scepter. It's Aloth. Oh wait. Obfuscation, 10% chance to become invisible for 8 seconds on scoring a critical hit, and a 5% chance to cast a random illusion spell on target on scoring a hit. The moment the scepter is in your hand, a chorus of voices rise. They chant in Gwithan, Eldadiran, Malian, Juana, each word holding its echo in languages you do not know. We read the books not yet written, see beyond the shroud of death. We seek the heart of all knowledge. We walk on plains beyond. By the wheel, by death. Take the seal, the eye, the mark. Awaken. Inscribed along the shaft of the scepter is the phrase Esoterica Proliferida. Read the books not yet written, we see beyond the shroud of death, we seek the heart of all knowledge, we walk on plains beyond. Huh. Don't know exactly what to make of that yet. Is it telling us that if we defy the wheel, we also defy death, or is it telling us that we need to defy the wheel and defy death? What's that? A scroll of the gaze of the Odragon. What does that do? Gives the reader the mystifying gaze of the Adra creature that provides the spell's namesake, petrifying enemies within. Now to the Temple of Revelation.
You calling me a cheat?
Filthy lying ground stink doesn't play fair. Rolled a 10! Stupid wizard, I rolled 10!
Dropping the dice isn't the same as... what?
Seem pretty nonplussed by that. Let's see who this is. There's a roadman in... Any chance that these are the people that we saw at the campfire outside? I'm not sure about that. Because we didn't see any imps there. We would have recognized Llengrath. But these two... I don't know. I thought the roadman was Almauen. I don't think it is. As the ground settles, the wizard and the imp exchange a shocked glance. One of the newly sprouted tentacles dances in a slow, hypnotic circles over their heads.
That was the biggest one yet! Look at us standing on the fault line of sanity! Hello up there!
This is Tayn. The wizard waves up at the tentacle before turning his attention over to you.
Postenago, you stand there babbling with imps and tentacles, ignoring the actual people in the room.
That is Fassina.
Didn't see you come in. Welcome to the Halls Obscured. My friend and I were just passing the time of the game and enjoying these little shake-ups.
We not friends. Stupid wizard is a stupid cheat.
The imp kicks a colorful set of dice across the floor before flapping its wings and crossing the room.
Hours they have wasted arguing over useless imaginary games.
You could have said something. We would have made room for you in the next round.
Tayn, didn't I see you in Archmage's scrying pool?
Now that's impressive. They told me you never forgot a face.
Tayn points at you and winks.
What are you doing here, Tayn? How did you even get in?
He rubs hard at her temples and sighs, so he must be an archmage too. Second that, some of us had to find our way through a labyrinth.
I got in through a hole. That one, right through there. You must have walked straight past it when you were topside.
Tayn points over to a collapsed wall and smiles pleasantly.
Isn't this something? I came searching for Maura and got distracted. Don't you just love a good antechamber?
Tayn plants his hands on his hips and surveys the area, grinning all the while.
Even if this one has a few embellishments.
He gestures at a patch of writhing flesh stretching across the ceiling. What is this place?
I asked myself the same question when I got here. Tentacles, eyeballs, labyrinth? It could be anything. I'd still be dumbfounded if I hadn't learned it all from Maura's own words. Here, she left this behind. I don't think she expected anyone to follow.
In Ida Maura's field book. Despite a pervasive dampness, the pages of this notebook separate with ease. Written in Huana, the text describes a vast subterranean lifeform of fleshy tendrils and shuttered eyes. The stranger sections refer to establishing a communion with the entity with the aim of conjuring forth arcane simulacra. Towards the end of the field book, Maura writes, Wall, 100 visions, the obscured, the eyeless face. I believe it you who rests within the darkness. The you that once walked the world. Why do you survive yet? Why haven't you awoken? Can you be turned against the dawn stars? Does he not threaten your mysteries? Will you not introduce him to his final dusk? So it looks like Maura was going to find the body of Wall. So that would be one of the 3 missing gods. Trying to remember, it was in the scripted interaction in the ending from the previous session. We saw Aethys in the illustration punching the wheel, and there was on the base of it 11 indentations that had gigantic skeletons in them, and there were 3 that were missing. One I assumed was Abaddon because we saw Abaddon's skeleton at the Abbey of the Fallen Moon in White March, and it seems like maybe Wall is one of the other missing ones. But anyway, Maura was looking to find Wall's body and hoping that Wall could help introduce Aethys to his final dusk. Kill Aethys for good. Llengrath thumbs through the book, eyes widening as realization dawns.
She believes we stand atop the body of Wall.
Wall's body?
That would explain the powerful arcane energies here, though I doubt the other gods' bodies were quite so friendly.
Scowling, she knocks away an errant tentacle that had been trying to entwine itself in her hair.
Yes, just look at it. Hard to unsee, even if you close your eyes.
Tayn rubs his palm together joyously as he surveys a mass of eyes and tentacles undulating beyond the gap. I wonder if that means that these tentacles are part of the body of...
While riding my dragon across the White March, I came across an unimaginably large skeleton. Legend would have us believe it is the fallen form of Abaddon.
That's what I just mentioned.
The Circle has been speculating on the existence of the gods' bodies ever since.
I also saw Abaddon's remains at the Abbey of the Fallen Moon.
This body is a good deal fresher than Abaddon's.
She snorts and returns to Maura's writings. Her ill humor is short-lived, though, for she soon grimaces and meets your eye again.
We believed them all gone. Not just dead, but destroyed by the gods' own hands. Obliterated.
Talking about the Titans. Bodies the gods once inhabited.
This one, it's still alive.
Then it is little wonder why Archmage sent me to represent his interests. He wants me to keep the body away from grasping hands.
He glares over to Tayn, who smiles at being the subject of attention.
Makes you wonder what has Maura so excited.
Tayn considers his surroundings with a thoughtful grin.
Whatever you are thinking, no. We should bury this sanctum before it becomes our tomb.
As nice as it is to take in the scenery, is everyone else thinking what I'm thinking? Huh? I mean, the answer's staring us in the face, literally.
No one understands your manic rambling, Tayn. Speak plainly or be quiet.
You want to use the body somehow, don't you?
He gets it.
Tayn winks at you.
Look, we have an unconventional problem, and it needs an unconventional solution. I don't think Maura came this far just to hug some tentacles. She wants to wake up Wal's body and send it after Aothas.
Medico, if Maura doesn't get us all killed, Tayn surely will.
And I'm not going to ask how he knows what she wants, because that's what I guessed she wanted too. Let's just say nothing.
Hasn't our Maura always said that a well-placed tentacle can solve most of life's problems?
They?
If she wants to take a swing at the big green guy, who are we to stop her?
It's speculative to assume that Maura even wants to awaken Wal. Doing so would involve meddling in matters far beyond her comprehension.
She taps a finger against her lips, thinking.
Or something she understands all too well. You don't know. Give her some credit, Len.
You give her more than enough for the both of us, and far more than she deserves.
What do you make of this, Llengrath?
What is there to be made? The gods, in their wisdom, laid to rest their Titan forms. Surely it was with good reason. Imagine the destruction they must have wreaked upon Kid's society when they had the run of the world.
The Watcher doesn't need to try very hard to imagine it. Remember Cat Nua? Our castle never had a chance.
Think WoW would make us a new one if we woke them up? They'd owe us, wouldn't they?
Before I get started, I could use some background on Maura.
Delightful company, bit of a talker, carries on long conversations with reflective surfaces.
She's an avid researcher into the summoning of tentacles, an arcane domain few among the Circle have any skill with. I'm surprised she hasn't embroiled herself in madness of this magnitude sooner.
This facility is enormous. Maura could be anywhere.
How about you spearhead our little search party? Len and I will keep an eye on this handsome antechamber where it's safe, or in case she doubles back. Fair warning, when I was poking around, I ran across some creepy librarian types. They were happy to look the other way as long as I didn't disturb their work.
Tayn shrugs.
In the meantime, Tayn and I will see if we might learn more about Wal's Titan form.
There's a lot of like silly responses in this DLC so far. We haven't addressed the imps in the room, so why are there imps in the room? Let's ask that. Why are there imps in the room?
Why else? To make my life miserable.
You know, I was enjoying their company so much that I never once thought to ask.
Tayn squints down at one of the creatures.
Came from stinking Archimir's house. Was told to help stupid Watcher groundmeat.
The imp grimaces and waves disdainfully at you. So Archimir sent them after us, and this imp's name is Drowsy Puke.
You can help us by shutting your mouth. By now, the echo of your screams will have crippled any element of surprise.
Master gave orders to fetid spray. Come talk when ready, eh?
Second imp waves a sheet of ragged parchment over its head like a banner.
Special orders for you too, nasty Fassina.
The imp hisses at her. Fassina responds by making a rude gesture with both hands. Fassina... Is that the shopkeeper in Archimir's cupboard? Maybe it was. Either that or the gloves were named after Fassina. I think she was.
Brilliantly done. What fluttering marvels they are, imps. Well, question answered then?
Tayn returns his attention to you and smiles pleasantly. You're sending me in there alone?
You weren't alone, you brought friends.
Tayn smiles at your companions.
Besides, Len and I, our kind don't work well in pairs. We'd probably disagree, separate the party, and get everyone killed.
Shrugs.
More like you'd get us killed.
As long as I get to keep anything that isn't nailed down.
So you're still into plundering old ruins. Sound financial strategy. Keep saving up for that second castle. You'll get there one day.
Right.
Watcher, Arkemir instructed me to join you. Leaving the dark cupboard behind has a certain appeal to it, Ark.
There we go. I was right. He is the shopkeeper there.
You don't have to worry about me pulling my weight. I've worked under enough tyrants that it's second nature.
Welcome aboard, Fassina.
Aye, aye, Casita.
Fassina strikes a rigid salute. Her scowl softens into a brief smile.
No matter how Tayn whines, Wal's body, if that's what this is, mustn't be awoken. The Deadfire cannot bear another calamity of Aothis' scale.
I concur, and I know Arkemir would agree as well. A single error in judgment could cost us our lives, maybe more.
What happened to your spirit of adventure?
Smirks and shakes his head.
Watcher, friend, are we on a first-name basis yet? Call me crazy, but I think you should do whatever feels right. What's the worst that could happen?
Tentacles grow until they consume every island in the Deadfire, and we all become mindless thralls in a never-ending tentacle nightmare.
Huh. And you're saying that's the bad outcome, am I right?
Tayn strokes his chin and nods.
I would hate to see what he considers the good outcome.
We can continue this debate later. Right now, our chief concern is locating Maura. Maura could have only gone two places. Up in the archives to the northeast, or down into the collections to the southwest.
Maura's journal suggests she went to the archives first, but that could always be a decoy. I did hear some unpleasant noises coming up from the collections.
Tayn hugs himself and shivers.
Hope she's okay.
It looked like there was some kind of dead body in the one to the southwest.
If you'll begin a search of the wings, we'll scour this area for further information.
He nods and turns away. Let's make Fassina. Let's just keep her a wizard, a conjurer, and we will
Farewell.
replace Aloth with her. That would probably going to be useful to have her here. She'll probably have some good things to say.
Casita, I'm glad we have this chance to talk.
Fassina folds her arms and glowers.
I have not properly thanked you for taking me away from that place.
Dark cupboard?
That shop and my apprenticeship were like a diving bell, dragging me all the way to the bottom with barely enough air to survive. Arkemir was fond of tormenting me. If he had taught me anything of substance, I might even have endured his wretched company a while longer. In any case, now I am free to study the world, and it is because of you. So, now I will say it. Agrasina.
What did you want to learn that only Arkemir could teach?
What a question.
Fassina clucks her tongue at the roof of her mouth and nods.
Arkemir is elusive. That flamboyant house of his? It is all a performance, a mask that people will not think to peer beneath. I had a sneaking suspicion that he knows more about magic than the rest of the circle combined. Or maybe he is just an accomplished liar. I may never know the truth.
Are you interested in any particular areas of study?
It is a funny thing. I was so quick to chase my ambitions, as if an apprenticeship would outline the course of my life. In the end, I was building a castle in the sand. The taller it rose, the harder the waves swept in to batter it down. Now I have no plan. And the uncertainty is a refreshing change.
Before we head out, any thoughts on our travels so far?
Plumbing the holes obscured. This is no small task.
Fassina squints and purses her lips at the thought.
Tread lightly, Casita. Nothing I saw in Arkemir's employ suggests that we should hold the circle to its word.
Care to elaborate?
Not so long ago, an Adiran village was discovered to be resting on a vein of silver. Conflict erupted between the townsfolk and prospectors who wanted to buy up the land. The Circle sent Kalakoth with some block-headed spell to extract the ore from the ground up. She succeeded in opening a sinkhole that swallowed the town. None of the villagers lingered to protest once their houses were gone. And now the Circle owns half of the jewelry shops in Edir. Does this sound like the work of an honest group?
Thanks for the warning. I had other questions.
Ask me anything, Casita. The worst I will give you is an honest answer.
Fassina shrugs. Curious about you.
I came to the archipelago as a groveling apprentice. One day, I hope I will leave it with a speck more dignity than that. What more could you desire to know, Casita?
Ever aspire to be an archmage yourself?
Not if it means I must submit to a bickering council of madmen plotting against each other. If I ever scribed a spell, it would be the best kept secret in Eora. Only I would enjoy the satisfaction of knowing it.
Fassina thumbs her chin and considers.
Fassina's mirthless laugh. Fassina's prickling pox. No, I haven't. Fassina's withering glare. Ah, I like the sound of that.
Did you get into Arkhammar's employ?
Being a part of the Circle has its little perks, but also some headache-inducing responsibilities. At least one member must always watch over the Deadfire and see that matters do not fall into total disarray. Arkhamir wanted the job about as much as he wanted to lance a boil on his deflated scrotum, but the alternative was giving stewardship to Maura. No one in the Circle trusted her with the archipelago.
What did they have against Maura?
With trading companies dividing up the islands, they didn't think a Huana could stay detached. They also hate tentacle magic. During the changing of the guard, while a handful of imps loaded Arkhamir's ship for the journey south, I stowed away in a dresser. Once we were at sea, I made my presence known. A dozen imps tore at my hair and pushed me towards the railing. When Arkhamir saw me struggle, he didn't step in to help. He just gave me work. I did what I could to make myself useful. Stitched the sails, disciplined the imps. That one impressed him most of all. By the end of the voyage, I had the little stinkers saluting me as I passed.
Cracks her knuckles and grins at the memory. So he just kind of gave her a chance to prove herself without actually telling her that's what she would be doing.
When we made port in Neketaka, he introduced me as his apprentice and installed me at the cupboard for a life of clerical drudgery. You know the rest.
You and Bertano didn't seem especially well paired. Bertano is the guy that stole the gloves from the shop, I think.
I was searching for a life beyond the cupboard, and that handsome oaf was blessed with a silver tongue. Came in handy when he was licking the boots of his creditors. I don't regret our time together. That was just a different Fassina.
What do you want to do with your education?
I have always dreamed of opening a magic shop in Neketaka.
Fassina sighs wistfully, looks off into the distance, pushing a lock of hair past her ear.
That was a joke.
She grins back at you, I was gonna say.
When I set out on this path, I discovered quickly that magic is all tied up in grammar, precision, and insufferable rules. Take a grimoire, for example. Misplace an accent mark over a rule. All the logic of a spell collapses around it.
Go on.
I don't want to break the rules of magic, but I want to rewrite some of them. Loosen them up so that any sharp mind can take up the study. The Circle would hate that, wouldn't they? If they could not reinforce their superiority over the rest of us, they might even disband.
Fassina chews her thumbnail and smiles. She's interesting. She has some interesting thoughts. I hope we see her in Avowed. I know that some characters obviously will be there. He seems like a good choice. You must have some thoughts about Aethys and the other gods.
You assume a great deal, Casita. When they are not striding across an island, the gods concern me about as much as Eora's moons.
Fassina shrugs.
Religion was never very important to me. I do not expect that to change now that the gods have revealed their petty, narrow-minded ways.
I'm just gonna say back to my other question.
Speak on, Casita. I have the luxury of time. Ask ask away, Casita.
Any thoughts about our companions?
Shoti is like a beautiful tree with poisoned roots. Her smile is the bark which hides the rot.
Yeah, that's something I learned about her very late.
Always Constantine hovers over me, asking to recommend him exciting books. As if I would ever touch fiction.
Maybe she hasn't.
In Pallegina, I see a little something of myself, but she takes it to an unhealthy place. Without leadership and a mission, I think she would cease to exist.
Yeah, probably right about that.
Seraphin has a large heart, but he hides it under foul language. This is something I can understand. Your friend Aloth carries himself with confidence, but to me he seems like a small animal in search of shelter. Keep an eye on Maya. I'll say no more than that.
Tell me that.
I do not hate Tekehu for his arrogance. I only hate that he deserves it. Always Constantine hovers over me, asking to recommend him.
Oh, she's already leveled too. That's good. Is a level 18 wizard. Has some Valiant clothing on. Let's equip her with some things. Oh man, that scepter is with Aloth. He is proficient with dagger, quarterstaff, rod, scepter, stiletto, unarmed. Any good quarterstaffs for her? Herb one. Bad. I think that'll be the one. Herb quarterstaff. Herb robe. Burn armor rating, plus 10 to all defenses against fire attacks. This says being critically hit with a fire attack will cause interrupt and give a -10 will penalty for 30 seconds. Who? Me? Or the person who casts the spell? I think that's me. I'm not gonna do that. Gallows Breaker. My allies benefit from the soothing sound of a mouth organ, gaining increased power level for drug-type consumables. Drugs. Drugs, kids. Oh. One priest restoration power level and Burma. I can give that one to Shodi. Not very good at equipping things. No quarter deal. Teleport attack. Target. Blast of Fury point. Not for a wizard. Yeah, for now, I think. Yeah, let's give her these. she has any fire spells, but as well.
Agrasima, how you dote on me, Captain.
Okay. Hunt. Galloween book. Message of the Hand Occult. Potion of Perfect Aim. This is where we came from.
Hey, you. Glad we finally get a chance to talk, one-on-one, away from the rest of the rabble.
Tayn shoves his hands down his pockets and winks.
I can hear you, Tayn. I'm right here.
It's good that we're on the same page with all of this.
He spreads his arm wide to encompass the whole of the antechamber.
You know, Wow and his great big body.
Actually, I haven't decided what to do about it.
Really? Well, here's a little advice from Tayn. I would try really, really hard to figure that out. And soon.
Nods.
Between the two of us, I did a little exploring of my own before you showed up.
Talks covering one side of his mouth, though his voice carries across the hall.
You haven't been to the collections yet, have you? It's just down that way. You'll hate it. There's a bunch of different people trapped in there. Lots of kith in some kind of stupor. I think they've been here a long time.
You have to get them out of there.
I agree, but that may only be the first step toward helping them. The prisoners, it's like this place tore out everything that made them them and left a bunch of statues behind. Except statues don't usually shamble around and cry.
In a vessel.
Take this. It's a spell that should wake the prisoners up again. Just make sure you read it somewhere they'll all hear it.
You got Tayn's Scroll of Righteous Awakening. This parchment is sloppily scrawled with arcane runes, drawings of animals, and practice versions of Tayn's signature. Tayn thinks the spell can help the prisoners of the collections get their memories back, provided that the words are read where every prisoner can hear them at once. You just happen to have a unique spell for this occasion.
Amazing, right? Okay, you got me. I took the words from my chaotic orb and moved a few runes and accents around.
This chaotic orb, there we go.
Instead of dealing mayhem and fun, the spell blasts people with memories. Perfectly safe. Head west out of this fine antechamber and the collections are right down the stairs. Can't miss it.
What do the halls obscured need with the mindless drones?
Maybe they knew too much? Rare information seems to be the currency of this place. I'd suggest that you ask one of the prisoners, but they aren't very talkative.
That is a very Wallite thing to do. If you know things, to make sure that they never tell what those things are. Secrets. What exactly does your spell do?
Let me try and put it in terms we both understand. This place has a way of unplugging people's heads and letting the memory stuff drain out. All that stuff kind of blends together. The memory of someone's first kiss gets stuck to the memory of the price of hagfish. My spell gathers the memory stuff into kith-sized chunks and stuffs them back into people's heads. No one leaves with the same memories they came in with, but at least everyone gets an equal slice.
There's the memory stuff in the kith-sized chunks and stuffs them back into... So they're not getting their own memories back, they're just getting memories back. Some random memories, I guess.
Could I, maybe get a copy of that spell? I have some friends in the Brass Citadel who might be interested in some light mind control. I'll even split the finder's fee.
This sound right to you, Watcher? Shouldn't we be guiding these poor souls towards the light?
Tayn wants us all to be as mad as he is.
Fassina massages her brow.
Sorry if I got a little technical there.
Doesn't giving people random memories seem irresponsible?
Of course not. See, a brain needs memories like a sewer needs waste. Without the waste, it's all just tunnels. Give it a little time and these prisoners will be their old selves again, just with some extra fun. Maybe someone will wake up and realize they can play the harpsichord or speak Valian. Wouldn't that be a nice surprise, huh?
Consider it, no promises.
I hope you can do some good down there. I hate to see so many people without a single good idea between them, you know? Like the Deerwood.
Tayn folds his arm and sighs.
Deerwood has plenty of fine ideas. Most involving fire, and things you can set on fire.
This guy right here. What a sport.
Tayn points at Adair. What do you know about Wall's body?
If there was a day in Wizard College when they talked about god bodies, I might have slept through it. Based on what we've seen, I'd say Maura used this place to nail down her tentacle spells. Lucky her, there's tons of inspiration here.
Really want to awaken the Titan?
What? The prospect of sending a mountain of eyes and tentacles to wrestle Aothas isn't enticing enough for you?
Okay. So it's a Titan's body, so they want to pick it up and have it fight Aothas or whatever. I don't know if Wall would want to do that or not, maybe.
Wouldn't it be boring to let a body like that molder and rot? I think we can do better. I think Aora deserves better. Even if it knocks over a castle or two, I think the fun will justify the cost.
Says a wizard who clearly ain't ever had a castle.
How'd you become an archmage?
My father donated to all the best colleges. I earned a couple of free degrees until I found something I was actually good at. I owe a lot to my father, including an apology. He always said he wanted an archmage in the family. Kinda backfired when I dropped the surname.
So he comes from privilege.
It's just Tayn now. Hi.
He smiles. You aren't as academic as your colleagues.
Thank you. Wait, that was a compliment, right? I know I don't fit in with the rest of those book learners, but I've got it where it counts.
He holds his hand over his heart.
Thinking is a big waste of time when you've got raw, unvarnished instinct on your side. If I worried about research, safety, or ethics, I never would have cast the first chaotic orb. You do know about my chaotic orb, right? That's my spell. It was really popular when I got it into circulation.
You're familiar with the spell, aren't you, Fassina?
It is the highlight of my grimoire. Are we done petting his ego yet?
Fassina rolls her eyes.
Oh, good. I was concerned for a second there.
Tayn smiles.
I worked really hard on that orb. First time I ever applied myself. Once wizards started using it all over the world, there was all this talk and fanfare. Have you seen this thing? Look at it go! Those were good times.
I believe Tayn's chaotic orb is a spell that has like a random effect.
These days, no one asks if I'm that Tayn anymore. They don't tell you in Wizard College that achievement can seem downright underwhelming.
Any thoughts about your colleagues in the circle?
Sitzel plays it coy, acts like he doesn't need friends. Can you keep a secret? We've been pen pals for years. He thinks I'm an Orlin who makes clocks. Minoletta loves a good joke. Like that time she pushed me into a snake pit. Good fun. Ringrim doesn't have any friends, but I aim to change that even if it kills me.
Tayn winks. Friend like he's a friend with... Was it Setzel? Yeah, Setzel.
Bet you didn't know that Consulhot has a sweet tooth. He only gets cranky when his candy dish is low on the good stuff.
Lenny runs in with Consulhot.
Isn't Llengrath nice? We squabble, but there's plenty to admire about her. I think we're really starting to bond. Archimere is Archimere. I'd be cranky too if I lived all alone in a spooky house. Kalikoth is great. She once shouted into my face so loud that we both passed out. Whenever we get the circle together, Maura likes to tickle me under the table.
Okay.
Ninagauth keeps a bird skull in his pocket. He pets it when he thinks no one is looking. Don't tell him I told you. Minoletta loves a good joke.
Very well. Okay. We got a quest to talk to Llengrath about that spell that he just gave us.
Now we may speak with something like privacy.
She casts a hooded glance in the direction of Tayn and shakes her head.
Tayn has asked something of you.
Llengrath beckons you forward with a discreet wave of her hand. He'd like me to free the prisoners in the collections.
And you accepted. How terribly large-hearted of you.
He raises an eyebrow. I didn't say that.
Forgive me my assumption, then. Word of your good deeds precedes you. What Tayn asks of you appears a mercy, but it's only a selfish attempt to bolster his reputation. He's a devious child who delights in making the rest of us clean up his messes. Many of the poor souls held captive here have been so for decades. Anyone they knew is likely dead, their old lives gone. To return them to the world with nothing is a cruelty. The gods only know what havoc these broken people will wreak with the information Tayn intends to give them. Lay their souls to rest. Return them to the wheel.
You want me to kill them? It's a bit extreme.
All things die. Death is the keystone of the natural order. It's no more extreme than birth. Another chance at life through death is a far greater mercy than relegation to suffering through a dull shade of the lives they once knew. Is it not mercy to let an abused soul move on to a better existence, one free of the memory of the suffering they survived here?
Hopefully we learn more about what's actually going on with these people that are trapped here, so we can more informed decision.
You gotta talk around it that much. Maybe it ain't worth talking about.
She paints a pretty picture from this cozy vantage, but of course you'll be the one pulling the trigger. You sure you're ready to help so many innocent victims move on from this life, Captain?
It should be their choice to make, not yours.
It would have been had the librarians here not robbed them of that agency. But they did. And there are none now who will grant them mercy. But we...
I'll consider it.
That's all I ask. This scroll will aid you.
She pulls a crisp new roll of parchment from the folds of her robe and closes her hand around it. It says Llengrath's Scroll of Final Slumber. The scroll is decorated with runes drawn fastidiously on a tidy grid. The significant arcane energy underpinning the runes causes them to glow with faint fluorescence, and staring at them too long slows the beating of your heart. Llengrath believes the spell will give the collection's prisoners a peaceful death so long as the words are read where every prisoner can once. Two choices there.
You need only read the incantation scribed upon it, preferably in a place where all may hear it. Their deaths will be swift and painless.
With a curt nod and a heavy sigh, she turns away. She pats her hip absently, looking for something out of habit, and finds her grimoire. She flips through it slowly, her mind clearly elsewhere. Okay. So, that's to the collections, and that's to the archives. I think maybe I want to go to the archives first so we can... much as maybe we'll learn something about what happened to people. This is Drowsy Puke, the Imp. The Imp is furiously mixing powders and herbs into a mortar and pestle. It leers at you, showing off a row of pointed teeth and a long, flicking tongue.
So, wizards tricked you into coming here too, eh?
The Imp shakes his head and chuckles mirthlessly. It's beginning to feel that way.
Imps, no. Imps watch you running around, fixing each other's ground stink problems. Wizards lie. Wizards are worse people. But Drowsy Puke fix everything, eh? Help you relax.
Winking, the Jim gestures towards a collection of refined herbs and narcotics. You want to give me drugs.
Drowsy Puke wants Kith to dream, eh? Rest giant weary head.
The Imp makes a soothing sound and pets you with a bony claw.
Smart ground stink just let Drowsy Puke know when he wants rest, eh?
The Imp raises its claw to suppress a wet cackle. Why the fixation on drugs?
You think Archmage gets to sleep without drugs?
Drowsy Puke mashes herbs in a pestle even harder, shaking his head.
Essence of white leaf, milled Gainsleaf seeds, powdered dragon bone for sweetness, eh?
Digging a pinch of the mixture from the pestle, Drowsy Puke sniffs it to the end of its talon, nodding. And watch quietly for a while.
Takes battering ram of herbs to knock out Archmage. Good thing Drowsy Puke is smart, Imp.
You seem to take a lot of personal satisfaction out of this.
Drowsy Puke enjoys job, learns from job. One kith at a time, numb you all to sleep.
The Imp draws its claw across its throat. Can't tell if you're helping Archmage or just feeding his addiction.
Can do both.
The Imp shrugs. Well, thanks for the lesson. Farewell. we can just rest. I wonder if he gives us drugs that force us to fall asleep. Maybe he'll do that at some point, just to find out what it does. The imp turns to you and lets out a quick puff of vile spray from an orifice that abruptly snaps shut.
Don't know your face, ground stink. You the one I'm supposed to find?
The imp squints and looks you over. It's his fetid spray. I'm Bjarter, captain of the Aston Mean.
They let you sail boat?
One of the imp's eyes bulges skeptically.
Master told Fetid Spray to bring baubles to Sanctuary. Offer to stupid ground meat for coin.
The imp gestures towards its wares.
Here, from Master. Master's most glorious words.
The imp reverently hands you a scrap of soiled parchment. We got simple instructions. Bjarter, I will keep this terse in case my imps should meet an unfortunate end and this missive is intercepted. By now, you will have encountered other members of the Circle and laboriously scrutinized their motivations in breaching Wall's obscured sanctum. Allow me to add my rationale to theirs. Desire is a simple one. Tidiness. There's already one god blustering his way through the Deadfire, and I have no desire to see him joined by another. If Fassina still lives, try and keep her alive. She has a modicum of potential. May yet aid you in Wall's unusual territory. Archmage. Okay.
This one for stinking Fassina.
The imp practically hurls a finely wrapped scroll at her. She catches it out of the air.
What is this, imp? Archmage already gave me my mission.
Ungrateful ground stink has her orders.
The imp narrows its eyes.
So, what does Master want?
Supposed to make sure we don't have a second Aethys on our hands.
Aha! What that mean, eh? More god stinks walking in statues?
If we are lucky, that will be the extent of our problems.
Well, try not to die then. I no care.
Point to Fassina. I take it you two know each other.
I am afraid so. Before I taught him a lesson, this little stinker was fond of relieving himself in my wardrobe.
Fassina presses her temples and sighs.
Nasty Fassina smelled so nice. Books and inkwells. Made her smell like imp instead. That never wash out!
The imp beams with pride. I hope that Archmage appreciates your hard work.
Master trusts Fetid Spray to handle coin. That means his best imp, most trusted friend. Fetid Spray is loyal, eh? Not like some.
The creature aims a withering look at its colleague. Drowsy people.
Complacency will be Master's undoing, huh? We dismantle his manor from basement to roof.
Drowsy Puke grinds his fist. His palm.
Terrible imp plots against Master, eh? You worst friend!
Fetid Spray shakes his head in disapproval. Show me what you have for sale. Potions. Yeast putty, some scrolls. Some ingredients. The Vithrak body? Yes, it is. Vithrak brain, golden shellings, and a reminder, protect the assets. This is a final reminder not to disturb the subjects while they hearken to the music of the pit. The wretches have grown protective of our benefactor's song and will attack those who damage the organ's apertures. Any subject experiences a moment of clarity, kindly guide them away from the pit and back to an aperture where they can rejoin the others in blissful indifference. We'd like to minimize the suicide rate this quarter. May this also serve as a notice that we have exhausted our supply of earplugs. Overseers are authorized to distribute hot candle wax, until someone can venture topside for supplies. While they hearken to the music of the pit. And they have grown protective of the benefactor's song and will attack those who damage. I wonder if those are the same creatures that Llengrath and Tayn were talking about that have lost their minds, basically.
Indeed.
This featureless statue bears the Ingwithan legend that the honest mind is an empty cage. A potion of mental prowess and a potion of focused mind. Greasy smear on the floor and the soot coating on the wall suggests someone had a lamentable encounter with a spell. Yeah, I think I want to go to the archives first. Notes and sketches in Mara's hand litter the table. Whether it's sealed by machinery or magic, there's no moving this door. Got some luminous object dust. And some rune powder. Ooh, central stacks. Wait. Actually, I want to see where this goes first. Okay. So we don't actually have to do this thing in order to name. Also, that was just like a shortcut, so we don't have to go through that big maze every time we want to come in here. So that does make sense. So definitely got to name something along the line of Wall's body. The creature here is kind of reminiscent of the creature in the game Still Wakes the Deep, which I played recently. It was an incredible game. As far as horror goes, it wasn't exactly scary, I wouldn't say. I mean, there were parts, but the story was very intriguing. Chinese Rim did it, and wow, it really left an impression on me. It takes place on a, I believe, Scottish oil tanker in the 1800s, I believe, maybe early 1900s. And it's drilling, and they basically wake up something ancient. Wish I could remember the name of it. Give me a second here so I can. Okay, so I think it was just called The Shape, which isn't very interesting. But that game and this game are very Lovecraftian. So I think I would like to name, I believe it is pronounced Rie, which is a different world in Lovecraftian literature. I believe it is where Cthulhu comes from, but it is also a sunken city, and I believe that is kind of appropriate since Wall's body is beneath this mountain. So I'm just going to call it Rie. Alright, back in. Alright, now we'll head up to the archives.
The Circle hides much from the people of Aora and calls it altruism. I wonder if we haven't made it.
Robed figures unflinchingly clean thick gore from the stone floors. Right, so there are beings in here. I thought the beings would only be in their section. Remember what that section was called now. The collection or something like that. But I also wanted to say Llengrath seems to be having doubts about how the Circle of Archmagi keeps secrets. Wonders, like, they say that they are doing that for the good of the world, but she seems to be questioning that reasoning. Okay, let's go see what these road figures are about. Cleaning gross stuff all up before. One of the kith looks up to you. A person can be described as looking without eyes. So they are eyeless. See their face here. Just seems like skin growed over where their eyes should be, and noses. Hello?
These are the archives. The accumulated lore of those who see without being seen.
So that makes sense. These are eyeless and are disciples of Wall. You see a eyeless statue here.
Do not remove the books from the shelves.
Man's voice plods emotionlessly forward, as if he's heavily sedated.
Lest you face reprisal.
What is this place?
These are the archives, the accumulated lore of those who see without being seen.
Up there?
Do not remove the books from the shelves,
Okay.
lest you face reprisal.
Any other rules I should know about?
Do not interfere with the work of the archives, and its librarians will not interfere with you.
Okay, so this is a librarian, and these eyeless here are all librarians, I guess.
Furthermore, the Oracle has limited patron admittance to the lower levels only. Trespassers in the upper floors will face reprisals.
Oracle. Okay, we'll figure out who the Oracle is. Did the people you're cleaning up not follow the rules?
Not at all. These librarians were retired by an intruder wearing a mask.
That would be Maura then. Was the masked intruder a tall woman, maybe named Maura?
I'm afraid not. A woman matching that description did ask access to the vault, however, we did not grant her request.
So there's someone else in here too.
Both intruders have entered the quarantined section to the east. We have not pursued, as that section is under quarantine.
Steal your books, don't go upstairs. Anything else I should know?
For your safety, please avoid the eastern stacks. They have been contaminated.
Contaminated?
The contamination will be remedied within 5 to 15 years. Please keep further conversation to a minimum.
Figure nods his eyeless head and turns away, returning to his work.
Real friendly sorts.
He rubs the back of his head and shrugs. Okay. Some obsidian flakes on that body. More. Streak of blood here. Obsidian flakes. This stack of books exudes a smell of recently tanned leather and iron gall ink. This is a circulating library. Red glow.
Touch nothing.
Oh. I just clicked on that and the books fell off. And then they came and put them back on. Okay, so this is stealing. Also, this is the reason I wanted to come here and do this one first. We have these History of Aora books. This is Volume 1, The Grand Collapse of Valia. I believe there are 6 of them, so I want to see if they're all here. I'd like to read them all at the same time. Obviously, I can't take them. But it looks like I can read them. Downtrodden Stink Pigeons, Volume 1. Sounds like an imp book, maybe? And we have something called The Note on a Missing Subject. Subject P0706 broke free of its cell and makes slow progress towards other parts of the facility. We cannot cross from one end of our library to the other without spores dusting our robes from some unseen limb of the colony. I've reported the matter, but our chief librarian is characteristically unconcerned. Should that thing cross into the restricted stacks, I hope she remembers who warned her. An addendum is scribbled below. Boris has gone missing, likely infested, digested, or worse. What began as an irritation has escalated to a tragedy. I haven't the heart to tell the archive staff to call off the search. Once the dust settles, I will take it upon myself to find them a new library mascot. So there is a missing subject called P0706 who broke out of a cell. Seems to be spreading spores throughout the archives. Alright, let's read Downtrodden Stink Pigeons, Volume 1. If anything about imps could be called subtle, it's that they are quietly the most complicated non-kith creatures of Aora. They speak our tongues, follow complex instructions, and have enough awareness to possess a sense of self and free will that defies the intellect of their primordial peers. Partnered with their latent ability to grow in proportion with the magical energies their bodies absorb, one would not be mistaken for concluding that imps are the rightful masters of their environment. Latent ability to grow in proportion to the magical energy. So they grow as they absorb magical energy. Huh. So why aren't they? In other words, why aren't they the rightful masters? Much of our lore presumes that imps are a byproduct, little more than foul-mouthed pigeons, formed of arcane runoff. Some of us believe this has to be anything but the case. Ledgers recovered from early Woodican temples give more credit to those unloved creatures, referring to them as footnotes as the firsts, or the fallen. Some have gone on to speculate that imps are the gods' discarded attempt to create life. This account will spearhead my academic crusade to prove the value of imps who deserve a fair shake from we who have spent our careers underestimating their worth. So this person, who has called their book Downtrodden Stink Pigeons, maybe ironically, seems to value imps more than much of the Kith on Aora. And there is a little hint here that maybe the gods attempted to create some kind of life, and they were somewhat failed, but they still are imps. They are intelligent, they speak, they're just a little bit uncouth, I guess. No, I'm not going to just wait to read all those books. I do want to read them in order, the History of Aora books, but we'll just go through them as we find them. So since that was one, we'll go back to that one. We have a Scroll of Kalikos, Minor Blights, and Structural Integrity Report. This missive was addressed to an office of the Admiralty in Rawatai. Apparently it never made the journey. Great Hazanui, your flagship, the Tenets of Iron, has not weathered the journey from the motherland as we had hoped. The sea was fierce, and an aggressive parasite infests the hull. When I sailed for the Deadfire, you told me that the Tenets must always lead the way, for we carry the motherland's heart. I tell you now that the ship is not battle-ready. Even a meager display of strength could send her to Andra's bosom. You instructed me not to take on a shipwright, for the pride of our armada cannot be seen to founder, nor to enlist help from the Huana, lest they grow too familiar with our armaments. Yet it is a matter of time before your flagship vanishes beneath the waves. What are your orders? A spray of salt water smudged out the signature. So this seems to be some kind of admiral or something in Rawatai who was in charge of a ship that the Hazanui somewhere thought was capable of more than it was actually capable of, at least according to the person who wrote it. Okay, let's head back to this one. The History of Aora, Volume 1. Collapse of Grand Valia. This is a quest item, too. Okay. Armchair academics will tell you the fall was unavoidable, that it was Grand Valia's rapacious appetite for expansion that finally ended them, or a regrettable inattentiveness to the necessity of maintaining critical infrastructure, or the Ouroboros of betrayal, revenge, and re-revenge that characterized their idle wealthy's leisure time. But they're wrong. No, it was Dulcatsa, the tabby, that ended it all. Dulcatsa, a dead mouse, dropped into a stew, and one very ill duke who, when told of the first in what would become a spate of vendetta-fueled murders among the families that controlled the Grand Valian economy, shouted at his valet to close the door and not disturb his rest again. He promptly died, and as his valet studiously ignored the stench coming from his master's study, Grand Valia unraveled at the seams. So, a couple things here. One, this is suggesting that while the collapse of Grand Valia was inevitable, it actually happened because a dead mouse was put into a stew. It says a dead mouse dropped into a stew, which seems to think that it just made its way in there by accident. Like nobody put it in there maliciously, and the duke who ate it got sick and died, and because he told him not to be disturbed, then he just kind of rotted in his room for a while. And it seems like that kind of set off a spate of murders and, say, intrigue, but just like maybe assassinations and stuff like that eventually led to the collapse of Grand Valia, which is kind of funny. I do also want to mention, first of all, I'm not sure how the person writing this would know this. I don't know if maybe it suggested that Wall themselves have written this, or maybe a god. But it has also been suggested, I know, that possibly these volumes of Aeoran history are not 100% fact, or they could contain questionable content anyway. So we do want to take that with a grain of salt, but I mean, I don't see why it would be here if we were supposed to just think they were lies. So just keep that in mind as well. So that was the History of Aeora, Volume 1, The Collapse of Grand Valia. Fall again?
Careful there.
Yep. They're gonna attack us when that happens. History of Aeora, Volume 2, The Tribe of the People of the Deer. That's gonna be Erglanthoth. First magic among the people was fire. It's always fire, in every community, among every species. It's always fire. Fire is a balm against the dark, a light to tell stories by. It chases away the cold, lights the path, summons shadows. It was conjured by an old woman who whispered a word at a dying coal and saw it spring to life. She carried that burning coal until her death, when she taught the word to her daughter, who taught the word to her son. Tribe of the people of Deer. Oh, that would be Adair. Okay, that makes sense. And I wonder, is this magic? They created magic with, this woman created magic with a word, and then carried that magic fire with her until her death, but she passed it on to other people, and eventually it became what we know as magic today. I wonder how long ago that was.
It's like traveling with a child.
Is that like a way that you can distract them or something like that, so you can steal some of these books maybe? We have the maintenance log of Flesh Construct Controller, okay, and a smuggled journal page. This is the maintenance log, Flesh Construct Controller, a quest item. Someone has meticulously logged dates and details pertaining to the operations of a flesh construct monitor device. Some of the latest entries stand out. Found a finger blocking the cogs. Asked around, no librarians reported a missing digit. These are the entries, by the way. Initiated the startup sequence and a bunch of teeth fell out. Operation normal? A new lever grew from the panel today. Not sure what it controls yet. If anything, stiff, warm. So this operations panel, the flesh construct monitoring device, seems to be alive somehow. At this point, the controller has taken on a life of its own. All I can do is interpret its desire. The device refused to initiate normal procedure until I tickled its favorite gland, deep and on the left-hand side by a patch of bone. After I shuddered for some moments, I had its undivided attention. This is disgusting work, and I love it. Wrote that. So if we do run into this construct, maybe there's a way that we can tickle it on its left side. Although it doesn't say whether it's our left looking at it or the beings, the device's left. This is a smuggled journal page. Admeth set the forest aflame, they say. Admeth snatched the sharpest fang out of the enemy's jaws. They sing. I believe this is a reference to one of the conflicts in the Deerwood. Like the Battle of Blackened Trees or Black Trees or something like that. That was something like that, but it was a scorched earth tactic. The Idirans fighting Erglanthoth burnt down a patch of forest. Continuing on, I know nothing beyond the walls of my cell, but I still have my memories, and I don't recall a single crisped tree on that battlefield. I don't recall being taken. I remember waving the flag of parley and having it answered with a battle cry. Anything they burned later. History isn't written by the victors or kith who were there. Written by scribes, and for some reason Admeth isn't of a mind to contradict their lies. Maybe it's because he's where he is and I'm where I am. There's history, and there's history. It takes a keen eye to tell the difference. Okay, this is from Regid, who was an important person, I believe, a Glenfathan general or something like that. Gonna look this up just to be safe, just to be sure. I mean. Okay, so it was called the War of the Black Trees, and in the war, Galvin Regid was a Glenfathan commander. I don't remember exactly his title, but his tactic was to attack settlements and then retreat into the forest because they had the upper hand when they were in the forest. But Admeth Hadret, leading the Adirans, it said he burned the forest as a way to kind of draw him out. They were able to capture Galvin Regid, which Galvin Regid is writing from a cell right now. But interestingly, he's saying that while he was there, Admeth did not have the forest burned. And scribes later changed the history when they were writing about it. And it did say in the guidebook for the first game that Regid was there in the War of Black Trees and captured after they had burned the fire down, but he is suggesting that's not true. That is very interesting if he's telling the truth here, if this actually is from Galvin Regid. But I don't really know how to figure that out now. I don't really know what else to say about this right now, but hopefully we can maybe see a little bit more, or maybe this is a mystery that will never be solved. Okay.
Indeed.
A stone lectern stands before you. Its surface reads, "They carried potential born of a word and shared like a secret." Looks as though a book could be placed here. That sounds like... Got a new addendum. Annotated history. That sounds like History Part 2, where they found the word which produced fire and then carried it with them and shared it like a secret. Arcana, examine the lectern. The rain and ozone scent of arcane energy wafts from the lectern. There appears to be a spell imprinted in the stone. So it looks like we'll have to steal the History of Aora Part 2 and put it here. A device inscribed with arcane runes glows dimly before you. The runes request an answer to their questions. Lick the runes, huh? I'm gonna do that. They're warm and lively as bare skin, but limned with a spark of arcane energy. They taste bitter. When you pull away, every hair on your body is standing on end. Okay. The other thing is to activate the runes. Let's wait until we have the books there before we do that. No one said anything about that? I thought at least Adair would say something. The stone lectern stands before you. Its surface reads, "While scions of forest and Audra fought, the dreams of invaders died." I don't think we've got that one yet. Unless that was that thing we just read, the journal entry of Regid. Looks as though a book could be placed here. Gonna examine it again, it'd probably be the same thing. Yep. Okay.
What have we here?
Trap. Interesting.
Of course.
Dungeons and different things. Then we have an infested almanac of crop rotation. The cover of this almanac is thickly padded with a fuzzy, multicolored fungus that has spread to the spine and the rest of the pages. Only one page has survived total infestation. Mold has contaminated the ink itself and warped certain words into bulging, irregular configurations. The fertility of the land is, and this is the actual book words here. The fertility of the land is a quintessential concern. Excuse me. The fertility of the land is a quintessential concern in the success of. Hello? A healthy farm is a diverse one, and we cannot rely favorably. Are we alone? Okay, so there seems to be the text of the book, and then there's these italicized portions that. And it has warped certain words into bulging, irregular configurations. So some of the words are warped, and it seems like somebody is putting these here. So the hello and are we alone are those words that are warped to dictate our fortunes. Just as Kith have yoked the reasons to do our bidding, we need to do our part too. Am I part? Am I a part? Who am I? That we replace what we take from the life of the land, the precious abundance we so recklessly leech from the... Why does knowing hurt? Henceforth, it will be our responsibility to, not I, we, and share our progress for the song growth love of the colony. This way, the purity of the book will be measured and controlled, no longer a variable outside of our. From that point on, the text has been consumed, reduced to little more than a loam of thriving fungus colony. I wonder if that's related to that subject that escaped. History of Aora, Volume 3, The First Hollowborn. His parents named him Gramwin, and he slept soundly through the night, every night, from the day of his birth, and for every day after. He didn't scream or cry, but only stared blank-eyed as the world turned about him. Gramwin had no siblings, nor would he ever. When one neighbor's child was born similarly silent, then another, and another, Gramwin's parents were named Cursebringers. They were burned in the town square, and Gramwin was left alone in the hillside just as the season's first snow began to fall. Of course, that didn't stop the hollowing. For 15 years, nothing would. So the Hollowborn is the crisis that racking during the first game. And apparently, the first one, Gramwin here, they thought that their parents were cursed. And they were burned, and then they just kind of let him go. I wonder if he became a wicked then. Or Hollowborn children who have grown to adolescence, and they are feral. This is stealing. Oh, but it's not red because they can't see us. Anatomical dissection notes. Curious specimen, larger than the last one. The bones assume a different configuration whenever I look away, so an accurate accounting of its inner workings will prove no small challenge. The organs are knit together in a flexible mesh which maintains its spongy state despite decomposition. The jaws can stretch open wider than they should allow. I cannot account for how this is possible, but my eyes don't deceive me. The teeth elongate in proportion to how far the jaws are stretched, even in death. I recommend the last of this species be interred in the collections. Better to have it catalogued and disposed of than out and about. So some kind of species that can open its mouth very wide, and the person seems to think it's dangerous. Whoops, I took the book too, didn't mean to. Okay. I want to go examine this lectern again up here, because there was one book that we didn't have. This one is the book about the beginning of fire, the people of the... This one... While scions of the forest and Audra fought, the dreams of invaders died. Okay, so that other one was about Hollowborn. That doesn't seem like it would fit there.
Someone should have killed this stuff with fire before...
Spore-infested librarians. They have 2 skulls.
Reach the books.
Small suckers extend from the fungus to the books. They tremble as you pass by. Let's see if we can fight these guys.
Have here.
Spore-infested.
Yeah. Sorry, friend. Can't.
Wow.
Come on. Hey, we had some good times. Stay with us.
Okay. These guys are tough. Alright, just gonna load last game. Apparently we can't defeat the librarians. Weird, but okay. Alright, and that actually reminded me. We fought things. We fought the last session the Guardian of Ukaizo, and I wanted to see if there was a bestiary entry for that. Doesn't look like it. That doesn't look like it. Also, we got that addendum added before. Annotated history. Upper stacks in the archives are restricted. We have lecterns. Okay. Is this the restricted part right here? I don't know. Incredibly complex mechanism seals the door, standing impenetrably before you. Its gears, rods, and tumblers rival the innards of a construct for intricacy. You're not even sure where to begin the process of breaking this lock. And examine the engravings. Cody frowns at the engravings. It's like a hand. Examine the mechanism. The device seems to be the work of a madman. Some of the components seem thoroughly redundant, while others display dependencies on workings that are in turn dependent on them. No mere lock. This vault door presents a puzzle, labyrinth for the mind. If I can pick it with the character. An hour of difficulty and frustration leaves you no nearer opening the door. That was with 20... Sleight of hand? Mechanics, 20 mechanics. I couldn't do that. Pick the door. You stub your toe. Alright, let's leave it be. I wonder if we're going to have to come back here. Let's go down to the other area. The enclosures.
What are you eating?
Nothing.
You've the look of a little boy eating cookies before dinner.
All right, you got me. I found a trail of candied nuts leading down to the collections, and I didn't feel like sharing.
Candied nuts from the ground.
Remember nothing. Only the anthem.
This whole sanctum is a factory of screams.
Something in the depths of the collections is screaming loud enough to echo throughout the entire wing. The effect seems to pacify the prisoners. Okay, so it was gonna... Whoever that was about to jump down the pit.
Shut up already.
We can hear it screaming too. And there was something that looked Vithrak-ish that stopped this person from jumping in, covered him, and then brought him back here. And he said he forgets everything when he went back. I say Vithrak-ish because the way it was floating, the way its arms were, seemed like a Vithrak, but they didn't have the heads that the Vithrak had. So I wonder if that's just a different kind of Vithrak, or if it's actually a different species. The echo of a prolonged shriek never entirely fades.
Could be
Okay, so it's just a Vithrak brute. The pages of the book are scrawled with the same phrase from cover to cover. Always screaming, never sleeping. Let's see. I wonder if we'll be able to fight these guys or not. We have a Vithrak Luminary and a Vithrak Brute. Oh my god. Okay. Should have known that that was going to happen.
I'm stuck. I'll make it.
We're dropping like flies.
That Luminary has some powerful spells.
I hope nobody saw that.
This did nothing.
We have a Vithrak Brute, a Vithrak Warden. This is disappointing. I am not prepared for this area yet, unfortunately. So I think I'm gonna have to come back. Alright, so I'm going to leave this place.
There's no experience or idea worth carrying across time.
I always thought that was the point of death. New people, new ideas.
You renounce my reason for being with such casualness, Tayn. There are things I've learned that I can't bear to forget. If immortality is what it takes to remember, so be it.
You must have some really good ideas.
So Tayn there thinks death is inevitable and a good way to get some new ideas, whereas Llengrath obviously thinks that in order to iterate on her ideas, she needs to stay immortal, it seems. This before. Some larva. Clutch of writhing larvae, blind and hungry, they move instinctively towards any source of food. Okay. So unfortunately, we do not get to explore the whole of the Hall of the Unseen yet. Fortunately, we can go back to Sanza and tell him that we've mapped out this area, so we'll do that. I don't want to do the big ship. Get sick. I'll help him though. On the horizon, a ship comes into view. Its sails furled, the ship lists upon the water. Plague ship! Handsome Lion cries out from the fore, finger jabbing skyward, indicating a green flag billowing lazily in the breeze in the ship's main mast. Naya leans in close. We should be careful, Captain. We'll catch whatever took hold of these poor souls. Still, Kerrigan muses, there might be something worthwhile on board. The crew steals glances at you to catch a hint of how you're inclined to proceed. Maybe we can help. If we can't cure them, we could at least give them a merciful death. Even without a spyglass, you can espy a few living crew moving about the above deck. Let's use our spyglass. You survey the deck of the ship. Two deckhands appear to be taking stock of some cargo. Pale to the last, they appear exhausted, their clothes drenched in sweat. Alright, pull alongside. Crew guides your ship next to the plague vessel. Alright, so we've read this before. So I'm going to bring aboard the sickest sailor. Yes, we lose some morale from that. Can't thank you enough. Without your help, who knows how long we would have been here. He offers you a small box. Take this, please, a token of my appreciation. Thank you. We lost some medicine. After a short period of examination, the sick sailor returns to his ship with enough remedies to treat the rest of his crew. Weary but hopeful, they wave goodbye as their ship continues on its way. We got boots of stability. Your mainsail goes up, and yeah, and it appears sickness has spread to your crew. We'll just have to use our medicine later to deal with that. Not too big of a deal. And I keep forgetting. Yep, Oswald is good again. So we are going to put him in the navigator slot because he's an expert navigator. And Handsome Ally is an unskilled deckhand, but Worthless Idiot is a expert deckhand, so we're going to put him back there. Okay. Kept forgetting to do that, so I wanted to make sure I didn't forget. Okay. Let's get some food here, I think. Carlo, because that turn around. Get some drink too. Also going to sell stuff, which as you see. Oh, we can. Okay. There. Okay. Go to Sanza's Map Emporium.
Welcome back, welcome back. It is a pleasure to see you once again. Tell me, how is the sailing? Smooth? Nothing to delay your expedition, I hope. How might I assist you?
That's some material for your book.
I could not have hoped for a better partner in this endeavor. Your well-deserved pay, of course. Why stop here? We're making good headway, and you've certainly proven yourself. I'm sending you far out west this time, past Port Mage, past the Wakara Reef, and even the Kangati Islands. Nobody's been out that way in ages. All manner of dark stories. I'm sure you'll be fine. I'll be waiting.
The chance that I may have already explored everything I need to explore. Nope. Okay, so got one. Found a Huana ruin filled with deadly traps. Oh, yeah, I remember that one. Okay. Far to the southwest. Okay. That's the next place we have to go. Sanza will be in Avowed. Recently they showed some gameplay and we saw someone talking to Sanza. I mean, I think it's the same Sanza anyway. Okay, so all the faction quests. This is all Forgotten Sanctum. Oh. Forgotten Sanctum recommends Aloth and Fassina. This is Honored Guest, that is Beast of Winter DLC. It's suggested for that one. Okay. To back here. Actually, I want to, instead of going right there, I want to talk to, I can never remember his name, Zamor. We have enough to get the next best ship, or maybe the best ship. I believe it's called the Junk.
Business comes and goes like, oh, come take.
Do. Have enough for the Junk. We get that now? Or should we spend the money that we do have on improving our equipment? You know what, we still have a couple. It looks like the Forgotten Sanctum is meant to be like the last piece of content that you're supposed to do, because that one does have skulls on it when we look at the difficulty rating, and the Beast of Winter and Secret Slayer Survivor do not have that skull rating. Maybe they'll get them eventually, but for now they don't have them. So maybe Sanctum. But I think this is, so let's get us a. So, here. Alright, so now we have a ship. Oh, we're gonna need to name it too. Alright, so I'm going to name this. There we go. Rimjura, which means Frost Shield is an alcoholic beverage from the White That Wins, where the character is from. I like the name Frost Shield there. Plus, why not name it after an alcoholic beverage? Okay, so I think we're good here. Yep. It's too bad the ship that we go into does not reflect the actual ship that we are sailing. At least I changed the color, so I don't think it is. Let's resupply. Right. Ship here.
Captain Parfito's never said a heart.
Unswept runes. Oh, that's right, because we wanted to come back here.
Hold fast to the helm, hold fast to the wind, heave-ho!
Because I think we needed like better mechanics, or we wanted to get a way to get past some like sigils of death that were killing us really quickly. So let's head down there. I'll sail to Fort Deadlight, but then not actually go to Fort Deadlight.
While crossing down the Deadfire way, hold fast to the helm, hold fast to the wind, heave-ho! Incidente, Sandra's grace, so will all these
Okay. Let's see if we've named this. Look like we did. Yeah, okay. Let's go here first. Oh, here comes the sickness. Break out the medicinal stores. What? That storm is barely there. Okay, so we have a storm here. Oh, we can do this again? I wonder if this always gets us through the storm, raising Lord Darren's Volge towards the sky. The crew looked to one another before setting to the task. Grimjoda's bow turns to the storm, sliding into the rains of passing through a veil. The ship comes to troubled rest under the tormented skies. Lightning stabs across the clouds. You climb into the rigging, grasping tightly to the lines with one hand while thrusting the Volge skyward to the other. The blinding blue-violet arc seems only feet away. As Grimjoda presses to swell, it pulls you towards the raging elements above, and they deign to meet you, a ragged fork of energy falling from the clouds like a headsman's axe. The lightning strikes the weapon, running through it and into you. Sparks fly from your limbs as the whole of the world goes into white around you and blooms of violet burst behind your eyes. When your sight returns, the sea is calm. The clouds form a smooth gray blanket above. Volge feels heavier, as if the weight of the storm resides within. You descend from the rigging to the cheers and clapping of the crew. Got some morale, experience. I wonder if we can do that every time then. Okay, so first I want to get Maloth back here. Go ahead here. Some water. There's the belated bog. Fetid, sweltering air cradles you as you push your way through the thick growth. Your clothing sticks to your skin and sweat drips from your brow and chin. You hear movement ahead of you, accompanied by something that sounds like a conversation. Sneak closer to observe. Failure. Uh-oh. A large boggy clearing spreads before you. Mist clinging to the water and soggy ground alike. A massive lurker rests in the water, utterly still, as Minpugra and Delamgon speak in low, susurrus tones. The Minpugra and Delamgon fall silent as you appear, and the former waves the latter back as she makes her way to you. The reek of decay precedes her, and she peers at you with black eyes. We would kill you for your trespass. Consume your essence and add it to our own. Yet you find us otherwise engaged. Leave this place while you can. Hard lips twist about a mouth filled with the teeth of gnarled wood. What's going on here? A hiss issues from a knotted mouth. That is none of your concern, Kieth. Scatter them with magic. Fan of flames at them. Aloth gathers essence around them before hurling the blast of mystic power into the clearing. Minpugra, I believe, like, this is decayed. So they are hostile. And obviously they said they would attack us here, so I don't feel bad about attacking them. Debris falls around you, but the Minpugra and her cohort remain. This is a corrupted form of Odragon, a nature spirit that safeguards an Audra pillar. Minpugra are the result of blight or otherwise desecration of their ancient vigil. The creatures glare and hiss at you as one. The floor around you bursts into movement, advancing.
Yeah!
Ooze, 3 bog lurkers, and a Delamgon. And a Minpugra is going to be around here somewhere too. Oh, and we have a dank spore.
That was about as useful as a bump on a pickle.
I don't think this will be that difficult, but I have been surprised before.
You were saying?
This is futile.
Happy to oblige. Mo is... Oh, hell!
Lava beyond sick.
Nuh-uh, didn't work.
Oh, X-Spore is immune to time parasite, I guess.
Yes.
Darkness take you.
Yeah, that wasn't difficult as I thought. Thanks, spores. Got glaive berries, Orland's cradle, which is a mushroom, blood moss, razorgill, another mushroom, inkhark, another mushroom, river reed, and awakened root. Awakened root and awakened wood.
I'd be glad to.
That's everything. Ruined tower. A narrow wooden tower rises high above you. Above the door at its base hangs a carved and painted mural of Amira and Ngati engaged in fierce battle. The tower lies heavily to the side, just a few feet from tumbling over entirely. Searching, found a scroll of Ray of Fire, a scroll of Thrust of Tattered Veils, Bar Under Tears, Pry Bar, and that's it. Let's just go. This one's just a fight first. Oh my god, I have to go all the way around for this? It was right there. Ship sailed awfully close to the shoreline there. The deep river that flows down from the island's central mountains meets the sea here, expanding into a broad delta. The azure water spreads to the east, remarkably calm and quiet. Gulls hang on the air above the shallows, intermittently diving in pursuit of food. A withered skiff rests on the shore, and a galleon sets at anchor a mile or so off the coast. Fresh footprints in the sand lead inland along the side of the river. Follow the footprints. You follow the path inland. Unlike the sea, the river's waters churn on their way down from the hills. On the far side of the water stands the crumpled ruins of an ancient tower. Is that the tower we just explored? A huge lake, the river's source, spreads before you, ringed almost entirely by walls of sheer rock. It is fed by towering waterfalls that cascade down the island's rocky promontories. Near the shore, you see a group of kith, along with an ogre and an imp in freebooter dress. Yeah, I don't think we'll be able to hide, so let's just approach them. Ahoy there! The pirates turn towards you as you approach, trading clearly confused glances at your abrupt appearance. One of the kith, a sharply dressed young man, steps forward, his hand hovering near the grip of his blade. The pirate bows low at the waist, his left hand fanning out the tail of his fine Valian coat. His right hand, however, remained near the grip of his weapon. He straightens, his dark eyes holding yours.
I'm not one to start a fray I don't have to, bon amico, but I'm very curious as to just what in the name of WoW you're doing here.
I happened by and you looked like someone worth meeting.
I'm sure we just happened by ourselves. Still, the question requires asking and answering alike. Why are you here?
That's a nice box you've got there. What's in it? This is a Ranetti, by the way. Not a Ranetti, but this man's name is Ranetti.
A very large pile of none of your God-stamped concern.
The imp crouched nearby, giggles.
Quiet, rat.
I'd be happy to buy it off you for a reasonable price.
Look, I assure you that you want absolutely no part in what's in this box. The God's damned blade has a curse on it. It's made an absolute mess of our ship. Ruined 2 of my coats.
Ranetti shakes his head.
I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Well, perhaps on my worst enemy.
He chuckles, brushing a knuckle across his skin.
And some of my more boorish friends. That might provide an evening's amusement.
A curse? What kind of curse?
The details, I assure you, amico, are not fit for polite company. They're really quite, descant. Foul.
Descant. Disgusting. Just tell me already. Ranetti sighs and pinches the bridge of his nose.
The men who made that damnable thing call it Pukestabber. It's an apt name, and that's all I'll say of it.
Oh, it's not great. I have a cursed sword, but there might be something cool attached to it, so I'm going to give him 8,100 copper. And you won't mind me buying it. I'd be willing to pay 450 obols worth of mixed currency for it. The ogre whistles, and Ranetti scowls at him. He considers stroking his chin.
450 obles. That's a lot of gold. Or a lot of whatever you give me. We pirates and our mixed currencies, nah?
Finally, he nods and accepts the very heavy purse.
Here, for the chest.
He hands you a small brass key.
I hope you own an extensive wardrobe.
Let's see what happens here.
Happily.
This is the Pukestabber, a one-handed dagger. Superb. Grants mean drunk, plus 15% action speed with dagger attacks and 15% melee damage with dagger attacks. Pukestabber stokes the fire in the wielder's belly, infusing their mind and body with a drunken rage. Increases melee attack speed and melee damage while under the effects of alcohol. This unsavory weapon has changed hands too many times to have an accurate account of its origin. The most agreed-upon legend attributes a dear wooden shepherd and a frequent tavern patron with its initial creation, but even this yarn tends to be told with slurred, ale-soured words. The only things truly known about the dagger are the contents of its construction, the rent, twisted remnants of a cheap brass beer stein, and the dreadful effect it has on both its wielder and its victims. Pukestabber seems to bring out the worst qualities of a mean drunk, and mean drunks seem to be the only people who have ever carried it, though rarely for long. Unsurprisingly, such individuals tend to misplace or gamble away the weapon with alarming regularity. Enough, it is most commonly taken by force after a drunken row or pointless bar fight. Okay? And if something's going to happen to us now that we have that dagger. Okay, good. So I can just cross that. You smell them before you see them. Lagafoth corpses litter the area. Some are burned beyond recognition, while others have been crushed so badly they're little more than a greasy smear on the ground. Search the area. You catch a flash of movement in your peripheral vision. You realize a large party of Lagafoth lie in wait for you in the surrounding jungle. No doubt they seek revenge for their fallen friends. The Lagafoth let out an ululating cry and charged toward you. They wouldn't have attacked you.
Yeah!
Now, let's see. A broodmother, mage, a mage, a mage, and a mage. Okay.
As you wish. That's not very helpful. Stand together!
Poor guys. I wanted to take revenge for their fallen brethren, I just laid this to them. Got Lagafoth livers. Lagafoth liver and a silver fin. Lagafoth liver and 2 solution. That's it. Okay, so this is the ruins of Amira's Roost. It seems like it will probably be a more substantial location than the other locations that were on this island. And since it's getting to be long enough as it is, I think we will save that for the next session. So we'll start next session by exploring the ruins of Amira's Roost, finding out what's in there, and hopefully naming this island. But I do want to say sorry for the Forgotten Sanctum. I was really hoping to get to that before Avowed released. Not sure that's going to happen now, especially since it seems like we need to be a little bit more powerful, and we're going to have to do some more adventuring and level up a little bit before we can actually explore that area properly. But I was really hoping to do that before Avowed. Maybe I'll still get to it, but it's getting close now. Which, again, it's surprising that I can even say that, and I'm so excited for it. But, yeah, unfortunately, the Forgotten Sanctum will have to wait. Maybe we'll still get there before, though. We'll see. But whatever we decide to do the next session, I hope you enjoyed this one. Please, as always, give me any comments, suggestions, clarifications, those kinds of things. And I hope to see you next time for more sentences and paragraphs. Bye, everybody.